More on our top story now. Teacher unions and government body associations have met with Basic Education Minister Angie to discuss the way forward on the reopening of schools. Now, the groups believe schools are not ready to reopen just yet. Motshekga is expected to brief the country a little bit later on this evening. Our reporter Motshekga joins me now. She's in our newsroom. Motshekga, very good morning. Good to see you as always. So there's strong opposition in terms for coming from the unions and so many school bodies saying schools are just not ready to open tomorrow. And the minister took a bit of time to actually meet with these unions. What transpired?
Well, Tony, we don't have the clear details as to what exactly transpired during that meeting yesterday, but we do know that the minister continuously meets up with teacher unions. She also meets up with the MECs just to get an understanding as to how far various provinces are and in time for the opening of schools tomorrow. But you do know that the teacher unions saying quite extensively that they're not happy with the fact that most of the schools or some of the schools aren't ready to actually welcome grade 7s and grade 12s. They have spoken extensively about the issue of PPEs not being there apparently at some of the schools. But this is something as well that the minister has continuously said, Tony. Even during her press briefings, she has mentioned that if a school is not ready and it does not have all the measures, the COVID-19 measures in place, then the school will not open. It cannot open. So it's things like social distancing, things like hand sanitizers, and those kind of things that really need to be put in place before any school can open. And she has really reiterated this often and over. And this is something also that the unions have said, that they stand with her on that matter, that if a school is not ready, then it should not open its doors at all.
Talking about schools not being ready, the minister actually took some time. She toured some of the schools. What did she find?
Well, Tony, when we went to those various schools with her in Gauteng and also in the Free State, we saw schools where they are ready to actually welcome the grade 7s and grade 12s. There's social distancing in the classes. There's hand sanitizers that have been set out. One of the schools that we actually went to, the hand sanitizer is one of those where you actually have to press your foot onto like a little step, and then the hand sanitizer actually comes out. So we saw those kind of things when we went to the various schools. And she did mention a while ago that the only province that has mentioned to her that it cannot open tomorrow is the Northern Cape, and it's expected to open on the 8th of June. So she did say that she's very pleased with what she has seen. She does understand that some of the provinces have also mentioned that they're having issues with the delivery of PPEs, and she has often said that if those PPEs are not there, then there's no point in the schools opening and risking the lives of the educators and the learners.
Motshekga, I'm curious because when you look at some of the schools, in the rural areas, I really struggle to see how those kind of schools can be ready. When you toured with the minister, what type of schools did you visit?
Well, we mainly went to schools in the suburban areas, but we did go to township schools as well. And that's where she really just tried to get an understanding as to what is actually happening. Her main concern being places like Limpopo, where you would understand that there are schools that need a lot of attention. But she says that she is in constant communication with the MEC of Limpopo to see how far schools are and to just get an understanding as to when they would actually open. But we do know that the main issue has been that provinces have actually suggested, Tony, that they use companies that are within the province. I mean, we understand that the Department of Basic Education had said to provinces that they will procure a company to actually give out these PPEs, but provinces said that they would like to support the local companies within the various areas. And she says that that could actually be one of the reasons why some of the provinces have not received PPEs or have not received all the PPE that is necessary for schools to open.
It's also unfortunate that we've seen a couple of schools where the PPE has actually been stolen, isn't it?
Absolutely, and she's quite upset about this as well. When we spoke to her during the week, she says that some of the PPEs has been stolen, as you've mentioned, and the biggest problem then is that then they have to then bring in more PPE, and of course we do know that the budget has completely shifted to deal with COVID-19 this year. And she also did speak, Tony, about the issue of the vandalism that has taken place at some of the schools. We do know that over 1,000 schools have been vandalized, and she did speak about that as well, urging communities to actually stand with the department and try protect the schools as much as possible. So some of the schools have decided that PPEs will only be delivered at the very last minute, but they have told their educators and parents and also the learners that there is available. The PPEs have arrived and they are within the area, but they obviously cannot deliver because of fears of them being stolen. So we are expecting her to brief later this evening at about 6 o'clock, and she will then obviously, we're expecting her to give us more details and a breakdown as to what the plans are going forward from tomorrow.
Motshekga, thank you so much. Good job as always. We'll speak to you later. And of course, that briefing is going to be live here on eNCA 6 p.m. tonight. The Basic Education Minister will be outlining the way forward when it comes to the reopening of schools.